What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here to talk to you about a book, Orion Among the Stars, written by Ben Bova. Not too long ago, I talked about another Ben Bova Orion book, Orion and King Arthur, that I had checked out from my library, and as I was reading that book, I was invested enough in it that I wanted to read more stories of Orion. So I bought this book, which was written earlier, and reading this, I am maybe more confused about the mythos of Orion than I was when I was reading Orion and King Arthur. If you haven't watched that video, basically Orion is like a cosmic quantum leap. You have this character who is going around to different points of time and space, and he has some adventures that he has to go on. And there are these highly evolved humans from the very far future called the Creators, and they insert themselves into different points of time, and they are what humanity knew as gods. And so characters like Zeus, Aphrodite, the main one in these books is Aten, who was Apollo in Greek mythology. All of those guys are highly evolved humans from the future, and they are wanting to mess with the past for reasons. Now that I've read two of these books, I don't think any of them really adequately explain why the Creators are wanting to mess with the time stream. They want to do something, but because we are seeing the events of these books from the point of view of Orion, who is never filled in on what's going on, the Creators consider him a creature. They don't even consider him worthy of speaking to unless they absolutely have to tell him what to do. So we never do get to find out what the Creators are doing and why they're doing it. And so in this book, this is set in the very far future, and humanity is at war with an alien species called the Scorpus. And spoilers from here on out, because I am going to get a little bit more into this book, we find out a little ways into the book that it's not humanity versus the Scorpus, it's actually humanity versus humanity. There are two different sides of humanity, the Commonwealth and the hegemony. And you don't really know what is at stake for most of the people fighting this war ever in this book. But you do find out why the war is being fought. It turns out that some of the Creators are wanting to do something, and some of the other Creators don't want to do something. And because of that, they are fighting a war amongst themselves, and to do that, they're using humanity and all these other alien species in the future to fight their war for them. There are these aliens called the Sin. It's Tshin. They are reptilians. There's the arachnoids that are spiders, and there's the Scorpus that are basically cat people with gasoline. That joke is never going to get old for me. And all of these species are intertangled in this war among the Creators. And basically, the Creators have realized that they have screwed up the time stream by going back and meddling with the time stream. And so they want to contact these aliens called the Old Ones that predate humanity. They have been around for bazillions of years, and they are much more wise than the Creators or humanity or any of these other aliens, and they are talking dolphins. At one point, Orion is trying to stealthily sneak into a Scorpus base, and then he accidentally jaunts himself into an ocean somewhere where he talks with these dolphins, and they are the Old Ones. And the dolphins say, if you guys continue this war, we are going to wipe out all of humanity, all of the Creators, the Sin, the Scorpus, and the arachnoids. We're going to wipe all of you guys out because we find out there is a weapon that both the hegemony and the Commonwealth have that is a star destroyer, something that will actually destroy a star. And the Old Ones are saying, if you guys try to do that, we are going to wipe all of you out. And so Orion at that point is trying very hard to stop this war. I like a lot of the ideas that are in this book. There are some really interesting ideas, but I think a lot of it, it needs to be restructured. The idea that Orion is trying to stop a war, and Orion has been programmed to fight wars. He is programmed to be a fighter and enjoy fighting. We find that out in the King Arthur book, that when he's fighting, he is just almost got a bloodlust on him, and he's really into that. But now he has to stop this war, or pretty much every sentient being in the galaxy is going to be destroyed, that's an interesting idea, but it comes way too late in the book. It's over halfway into the book before we find out that Orion needs to stop this war. And you almost wish that this could have been longer. You think maybe this could have been 2 or 3 books, and we could have really gotten to see the scope of how this war affects all the normal non-gods in the galaxy. Why are they fighting this war? They've been hired by the Commonwealth to work for them. Okay, but why are they doing it? Why are the Scorpus helping the hegemony? Why does an ordinary human in the hegemony fight in this war? At one point, Orion and his soldiers, they land on a Commonwealth planet, and the people don't seem to really understand the war. They know that a war is being fought like a long, long way out. They don't understand that the war is as close to them as it is, but I would really like to know what's at stake for Joe Schmo walking on the street. What does he think about the war? Why does he think the war is being fought? There are questions like that I think could have been answered, and I don't know if you could have done it all in one book. I think that the idea that the old ones are going to destroy all the sentient beings in the galaxy if Orion doesn't succeed, that almost could have been an end of the book cliffhanger, and then we could have had another book really exploring Orion now trying to stop this war, and then various obstacles get in his way. There are a lot of interesting ideas in this. There are clones and clone rights that I think is handled pretty well, but overall, I think this book probably needed another draft. I think that, and I hate to be that guy who's saying, now that Ben Bova is dead, like, well, I don't think he was that good of a writer. I don't want to be that guy. But I do think that maybe he could have looked at this again once he finished it and maybe polished some of the ideas here. I think there are some really good ideas. I just don't think the execution 100% sticks the landing. Now that I've read 2 of these Orion books, I suspect that I'm not going to read any more. I was looking at some reviews of this book online after I read it, and there were some people saying this series is really formulaic, and I can see that. Now that I've read 2 of these, I can see the formula. The creators want to meddle in some point in history. They send Orion to do their bidding, and then at some point Orion decides he's going to rebel, and he's not going to follow orders, and then something happens. That was happening throughout the entire King Arthur book, where he was told that he needed to allow Arthur to die so that the creators and their whims could be followed. In this, he's not as blatantly spitting in their faces as he was in the King Arthur book, but it's still basically following the same formula. And there's a lot of stuff, like in this, he finds out that, because Atten, he keeps saying, if you don't do this, I will not revive you when you die, because Orion is revived from death every time Atten has a mission for him. And then in this book, Orion realizes, no, he's not reviving me from death, he's just recloning me and giving me certain memories that are pertinent to this mission. And he finds that out, and then he kind of tells the creators, haha, I know something that you didn't want me to know, and then he does the exact same thing in the King Arthur book. And so I can see if you were reading all of these Orion books, it might get old seeing Orion discover something and then telling the creators, I know something that you didn't want me to know, and then he does that in every book. I can see how that would get old. I like this. I like sci-fi stuff like this, galaxy-spanning war. I like all that. In a way, it feels kind of Star Trek-y, sort of. There's transporters, and I think I've heard people say transporters would work kind of like how they work in this book, where you're not the same being before and after transport. That's how it works in this Orion book. It feels more like a war-based Star Trek instead of a peaceful exploration-based Star Trek. And I like that, but I don't see, for example, if there's a book that features Orion, like they mention Philip of Macedonia, and Orion was there when he died. I don't have to read that. I'm not really as into history as some people are, so I probably am not going to read any more of these unless I find one super cheap somewhere. I know one of these has Orion battling in the Trojan War. That I might read because I do like Greek mythology stuff, but now that I've read 2 of these kind of close together, Arthur, I feel like I kind of know what's going on with all the books, and I don't have to read all the others. I enjoyed this, and I enjoyed Orion and King Arthur, but it's kind of like if you watch like one episode of CSI, chances are you know what happens in every episode. You don't have to keep watching. So that's kind of what I feel like here. You've been there, you've done that, and if you're really into the French and Indian War, or here's a story where Orion has to teach the people in this valley about agriculture, and he has to get them out because a glacier is going to come and destroy them. If you're into that kind of thing, you might really like some of the other books in this series. But for me, now that I being a huge King Arthur fan, I enjoyed Orion and King Arthur for the most part, and being a big sci-fi fan, kind of a lowbrow sci-fi, I enjoyed this, but I don't have to keep reading this series. So that is all that I have to say about Orion Among the Stars. I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, I will see you guys in the future with more videos. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day. Catch you later.